On the morning of March 27, 1977, two of the world's largest aircraft collided. And because of a single misunderstood word, 583 people lost their lives. This is the story of the deadliest accident in aviation history. And what happened was so strange, people still find it hard to believe. On the Spanish island of Tenerife, there was a small airport called Los Rodeos. It was never normally this busy, but that day something happened that made it fill up almost instantly, and no one had any idea that this one decision would become the cause of hundreds of deaths. A few hours earlier, a bomb had exploded at another airport, Gran Canaria. Because of that, the airport was shut down, and every plane that couldn't land there was redirected to the small airport at Tenerife. In a single day, more planes arrived than that airport could ever handle. Among them were two, a KLM Boeing 747 and a Pan Am Boeing 747. Both belonged to the biggest airlines in the world. No one knew that within hours, these two planes would become the deadliest disaster in aviation history. As evening fell, a thick fog suddenly rolled over Tenerife. So thick that pilots couldn't even see the far end of the runway. Visibility dropped so low that even the front of the aircraft was barely visible. And that same fog soon created a misunderstanding that would change history. The KLM captain, Jacob Veldhuizen van Zanten, was one of the airline's most senior and trusted pilots. In fact, he was KLM's chief flight instructor. He was in a hurry because any further delay meant his crew would exceed their duty hours and be forced to stay overnight. He spoke to the control tower and believed he had been cleared for takeoff. But in reality, the tower had only given him a route, not takeoff clearance. The controller said, "Stand by for takeoff," and it's believed Van Zanten only caught the word takeoff. That one difference, in just a few words, was about to change everything. Meanwhile, the Pan Am aircraft was still on that very runway, moving through the fog, trying to find its exit to clear the way. They too had no idea that the KLM jet was picking up takeoff speed right behind them. The KLM flight engineer grew suspicious. He asked, "Is Pan Am still on the runway?" Captain Van Zanten replied, "Oh yes," and continued the takeoff roll. Neither crew ever saw the other plane until only a few seconds remained. The KLM jet was racing forward at full speed when the Pan Am aircraft suddenly emerged from the fog, directly ahead. The captain tried, in the final moment, to lift the plane up and over it. It was already too late. The collision was so violent, both aircraft turned into a fireball within seconds. 583 people lost their lives. It remains the deadliest accident in the history of aviation. Even today, no other crash has ever taken more lives. But what happened after this tragedy permanently changed the entire aviation industry worldwide. After this disaster, strict new rules were introduced across the world. Pilots and control towers now use short, precise language. The word takeoff can only be spoken at the exact moment clearance is actually given. Standardized English phrases became mandatory, so this kind of confusion could never happen again. Today, every time you sit on a flight and hear the pilot speak to air traffic control, the way they communicate exists because of this disaster. One small misunderstanding took 583 lives, but it also gave the world a system that has since saved millions.